Hello and welcome to Some Dude Shed. It's Newsday,
Bong.
and in the news this week,
Microsoft buys Activision.
bong.
A Japanese firefighter has his pay slashed after officials discover his YouTube gaming channel.
Bong.
Bono finds out U2 is a bit crap. Bong.
Romance fraudster posing as Nicolas Cage scammed vulnerable women out of thousands of pounds.
Bong.
Doctor who branded his initials on patient's liver no longer allowed to practice medicine.
And our last story of the week, Fish learns to drive. That's it, that's the headline.
Nice.
Okay, so where should we begin?
See, we have the bong, but we don't actually have the jingle.
We need a jingle and a bong. So if anybody out there has a bell anybody out there has a bell that they're willing to donate, please let us know. So yeah, where shall we begin?
Take it away.
All right, well, let's start with the music news. Bono, the guy from U2, has found out that U2 is a bit rubbish. Bono is the frontman for U2. In case anybody doesn't know, he's the kind of the guy with the glasses.
Mm-hmm.
Always wearing the glasses. I'm not really sure why.
He's got
He
shit
does a
eyes.
lot of philanthropy, and I think we all know what that looks like. We've seen the South Park clip.
Was you go to a poor place and sit there for half an hour and then go back to your fancy hotel?
No, he walks through it and goes, yeah.
yeah.
So U2 frontman Bono has said many of his band's songs make him cringe with embarrassment.
Me too.
And that he doesn't like their name very much either.
I think U2's alright. Doesn't name like it's basic, but it's fine.
Well, it covers two things, isn't it? It's like it's U2 as in you as well as me, and it's U2 as in there's like a spy plane, isn't there? That's a U2.
Yeah,
I think it was named after the plane,
I
wasn't
think
it?
it might have been named after the plane. So to quote Mr. Bono, I've been in a car when one of our songs has come on the radio, and I've been the color of, well, scarlet. He told the Hollywood Reporter Scott Feinberg during a 1 hour long interview. I'm just embarrassed. I do think U2 pushes the boat out on embarrassment quite a lot. Maybe that's the place to be as an artist, is right on the edge of your level of pain for embarrassment. Because he doesn't like the lyrics, he doesn't like the music, he doesn't like the videos. Basically, he hates everything he's done for the music world.
So what you're saying is he basically done everything for the money then? He didn't do it out of the enjoyment of it.
I think it's more of a retrospective thing. Maybe he liked it at the time. But looking back on it, it's just...
It's like looking back at an old home movie, it just makes you cringe. Like, oh, everyone cringed whenever they forced their bloody crappy music album onto their iPhones.
He's confessed that there is one song that he actually does like.
Hold on a minute, that was basically digital rape.
Yeah, it was digital rape. My phone was raped. Remember that? Remember U2? Like, it was the new iPhones coming out, wasn't it? And then...
it was an iOS update, I believe.
Yeah, iOS update, but it also included a full version of U2's album, and you couldn't actually delete it from your phone.
And it went on every iPhone.
It's hardwired in.
Yeah, it was part of the software. And then I think everyone hated U2 a little bit more after that.
Just a little bit more.
Just a tiny smidgen more.
Well, he says that, he doesn't like the music very much. He does say that he's confident that he puts on a good show live, though. And there is one song that he does quite like, and Vertigo.
I think everyone likes Vertigo. Vertigo's pretty good.
I don't know it. I'm not hard up with the popular tunes.
Hello.
Pretty much everything after Beethoven's just no idea.
You'll know if you heard it. It's like one of those radio songs.
But yeah, that's basically and that's basically it. That's the story. Bono just doesn't really care for his own music anymore.
Neither do we, so that's all right.
Yeah, he's following the opinion of everyone else.
Did he indicate if he's going to quit or?
No, I don't know. They didn't mention that. No, I mean it just goes on with it. Basically, they changed topic after that. I don't think they mentioned that. They didn't mention anything about him quitting.
Okay.
So I think U2 is gonna keep going, but we'll deal with that when it comes.
We'll be ready.
So, Mr. Black, tell me what happened with Nicolas Cage.
Well, I haven't looked too much into this story, but yeah, romance fraudster posing as Nicolas Cage scammed vulnerable women out of thousands of pounds, says victim support. Online daters have been warned about the dangers of fake celebrity profiles after a woman was duped out of thousands of pounds by a romance fraudster posing as Hollywood star Nicolas Cage. Now, why would you vote? Why would you fall for that? Nicolas Cage matched with me.
The Did they mention what app or website it was on?
I think it was Facebook, wasn't it?
Facebook,
Oh, it
yes.
was Facebook. Yeah.
Wow. The woman believed she was exchanging messages with an Oscar-winning actor on Facebook and lost about 10 grand in the scam. Why would you send a celebrity money as
Yeah,
well?
If Nicolas Cage asked me for 10 grand, I'd send it to him.
Well, saying that, I know Nicolas Cage has like been bankrupt a couple of times, hasn't he? So he's
Well,
like,
my
I'm
fellow-
really strapped for cash.
Well,
I
my
need
first
10 grand."
answer would be, I don't have 10 grand. And the second thing would be, why do you need my money? Nicolas Cage not very wealthy.
Well, but he's been in like some financial problems
Well,
before
I mean,
too.
compared to us churls.
Well, yeah, I mean, still, like his financial trouble wouldn't be like
He'll
the average
never-
Joe's financial trouble.
He'll never be eaten out of a dumpster.
Yeah, pretty much. But like, why would you ever be compelled to send any celebrity money?
I'd love to know why no red flags were raised during these conversations.
Because they're idiots. I think that's. I mean, I'm sorry to be so blunt, but stupid people are out there.
It's
And
like,
stupid
oh,
people-
Nicolas Cage has messaged me on Facebook.
Yes. Oh my goodness! I will send him 10 grand because he's looking for 10 grand.
Yeah.
I want
What
10
point?
grand.
Do you realize that's... How do you not know that's a problem?
Romance fraud, they're calling it. Romance fraud.
So was he hitting on her at this time?
He pretended to
on
love
Facebook?
me. Well, yeah, it's obviously just some guy who was like sort of trying to woo her. Reports of romance fraud have soared during the pandemic, but a senior detective told Sky News that they were the tip of the iceberg, as many victims are too embarrassed to come forward. Yeah, I started talking to Magic Mike online, and he wanted 25 grand, and I gave it to him.
To be fair, Magic Mike is a fictional character.
Yeah,
Channing Tatum came to you.
yeah, the Channon guy. Yeah, I don't know. See, so
So this person was basically wanting her by a photo on a profile. Can you imagine how much worse this is going to get whenever deepfakes become like you can do it in real time?
yeah, like, well, I mean,
you video
yeah.
chat with them and they just literally look like whoever it's supposed to be, and then if they can somehow modulate the voice.
Yeah, well, do you remember even like the whole face swap app that was trending massively a few years ago? Like 3 or 4 years ago. You could like literally put your face on somebody or put somebody else's face on yours, but it worked really well, whatever the algorithm was. But that was only a photo, and I had to process the photo. But if we could do that in real time on the phone, which I can
So-
see that happening in a couple of years.
It's only a matter of time.
I do remember the face swaps with the pets. They were great.
Yes. I do remember a few pictures of people swapping their faces with cats.
Some of those targeted have lost. Well, I don't think it's purely celebrities. I think it's like more of a general catfish thing. But I think this is just obviously significant because
Because it was Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage, yeah. If Nicolas Cage was a real Chad, he would just give her the 10 grand. The real Nicolas Cage, here you go, here's your money back.
Have you ever seen the Facebook videos? That I think they've tackled them now, but there were Facebook videos going around with like The Rock, Kanye West. Obviously not them, but it was like deepfake videos. But they were like really, really convincing. Other than you think, why the hell would they be giving you free money?
Yeah. Do you think there'd be some kind of legislation brought in for deepfakes? Because it's technically like fraud, like identity theft.
I think there might already be, or
Like it would be
talked about bringing it in.
like it would be a form of identity theft if somebody took your face, your voice, because you can copy somebody's voice just like that. I think there's a website called notjoerogan.com, and you type in anything and it comes out Joe Rogan's voice.
Sure, it was like the Jordan Peterson.
Jordan Peterson,
Yeah, there was a Jordan Peterson website, and you could type anything and it would come out as Jordan Peterson.
with just add a bucko at the end.
Bucko.
Tidy your room, bucko.
Send me your bank details, Bucko.
I need 10 grand, bucko. 10
You
grand, sure, I'll pay you back.
mentioned The Rock here. I hate to digress, but I did see another news story, but it was so rubbish that I didn't bother to include it. But I might as well mention it now. There was a rumor that The Rock bought a T-Rex skull, for $31 million, but he has denied it. That's the story.
Wow.
Okay.
There was a T-Rex skull spotted in his room on a Zoom call or something.
It could just as easily be a fake one. I don't know.
Exactly right.
Made a
Anyway,
film.
moving on.
I'll just finish up on this here. The fraudster behind the account, who is not thought to have been found by the police, claimed Cage needed the funds for tax reasons.
Tax reasons.
And he planned to visit the UK while urging the victim to keep their relationship on the lowdown. So,
Could you imagine going around telling your friends, "Oh my god, I fell in love with online with
Very
Nicolas
cool.
Cage."
yeah.
I'm guessing she probably doesn't have very many friends, or they would have told her, "That sounds ridiculous. You're being duped."
Mm.
But, poor woman. Anyway, moving on.
Anyway, yes, my story is the doctor who branded his initials on a patient's liver has lost his rights to practice medicine. Dr. Simon Bramhall, well, I suppose would he be a doctor if he's been disbarred? I suppose he still have his medical degree.
You really confused me at the start because you said, what's the headline?
Doctor who branded his initials on
You
patient's liver
said-
no longer allowed to practice medicine.
You said Doctor Who, and I was like, oh, Doctor Who? Brandon people?
Oh, a doctor. All right, Doctor Who.
Just
Doctor Who's branding people.
Okay, we'll just start it again. Doctor, comma, who branded his initials on patients' livers no longer allowed to practice medicine.
Yeah.
Dr. Simon Bramhall, a British surgeon who branded his initials on patient's liver, has been struck off the medical register, according to reports by BBC News. According to the UK General Medical Council, that means he can no longer work as a doctor in the UK. Off to America he goes.
The questions that are raised, for starters, was what he was doing, was it dangerous?
Yeah, well,
Dangerous? I don't know. Damaging someone's body? Yes.
it's like
You've scarred their insides.
But it's on the inside.
You've scarred them. You've damaged their tissue.
yeah,
You have caused damage to somebody.
Which is write on it with a pen, no?
it's kind of like just forcibly tattooing your name onto somebody. You know, like
But they'll never see it.
But that's not the point.
yeah,
I love the idea of how they found out about it. Obviously, I'm guessing how they found out about it is someone had a liver problem twice. So they went to him first, and then they end up going to another doctor, and they opened him up and said, "Someone's written on this." So I guess that's probably, and they probably found out because he signed his name, right?
these signatures match.
I'm going to assume so. The branding occurred in February and August of 2013, and Bramhall received 2 convictions for common assault. So there was a crime committed.
I suppose they call it assault. It's not really assault, but it's kind of the closest thing we got, isn't it?
Is that all he was charged on? Not medical malpractice as well.
Well, they might well do. Doesn't mention that here. But he has been, as I said, he has been struck off. So
Yeah,
they might follow up on malpractice.
like it's a great deal of trust you have to put into a doctor who's literally going to open you up and like remove stuff and put stuff in, and
Absolutely, it's the same kind of trust you put in a plane pilot, I guess.
exactly, you know.
So apparently the record showed he used a argon beam coagulator, a device commonly used in surgeries to place his initials on the transplanted liver of a patient at the end of his surgery.
None of the other doctors in the room sort of go, "Hey, what are you doing?"
Yeah, that's a good point because there's at least one other person in there because you got the anaesthetist,
Yeah,
you know, the person who looks after make sure they don't die on the table,
yeah.
or wake up. So surely they would have noticed something.
No, there's at
well-
least 3 people. I'd say there's at least 3 people in that room because there's maybe this. If you imagine the main surgeon,
Yeah,
the surgeon's assistant, like a nurse assistant or something that would hand him whatever he needs, and then again the anaesthetist. And maybe there'd be a third guy in there. He's like a student surgeon. He's like watching on.
He's like, that's cool, I'm going to do that.
yeah.
Oh, you make sure you sign your work because then they don't know who it is. Make sure you sign it.
Only if you're proud of it, though.
Yeah, I wonder if he didn't sign the bad ones.
The branded initials were discovered only when an organ transplant failed and another doctor was performing a surgery on the patient, according to BBC News.
You imagine the student. It's the student's turn to transplant an organ, and he writes the grade on the organ. Right, that's an A. Just gives him an A. Gives him an F. Nah, that's a bad transplant. F.
The patient's mental health suffered because of the trauma and the press coverage, according to records from the Medical Practitioners Tribunal.
Well, yeah, probably.
So he's been branded an untrustworthy doctor, is he?
After pleading guilty to both counts of assault, Bramhall was sentenced to community orders with unpaid work and fines of up to £10,000. Bramhall has received a series of titles and honours over the years. According to the Medical Practitioners Tribunal, he was a consultant surgeon and lecturer at University Hospital Birmingham NHS Foundation Trust, deputy director of the Division of Medicine at Queen's Elizabeth Hospital, and a fellow of the Royal College of Surgeons. So this man has lost quite a lot.
Good.
Probably it was probably quite well paid though. So £10,000 isn't going to be much.
No.
Thinking he's a fucking Picasso or something.
Wonder how many he's done.
Oh,
How many has he signed? How many people don't know that they've got a signed organ in them?
I'm just wondering.
Some
if
of
he-
these organs been recalled, are they? This organ's damaged. We need to recall it back.
I'm just wondering if he got to the end of his career and just didn't give a crap anymore.
Maybe.
Medical Practitioners Tribunal decided to suspend his license for 5 months in December 2020, citing professional arrogance of such magnitude that it strayed into the criminal behaviour.
Wow.
His case was recently revisited and has once again been suspended from practicing medicine and removed from the medical register on Monday by the General Medical Council. And that's it.
So doctors are still people too, and people can be just idiots.
Just can't have to imagine the ego in that guy to
Yeah, he probably signed his own dick.
Probably did, yeah.
My dick.
or
Wonder if-
sign,
wonder if
sign
he-
the woman afterwards.
Wonder if he does. Wonder if he does circumcisions.
Oh,
What, just sign around the helmet?
I guess so. So moving on.
Yes, moving on.
Moving on. So, news from Israel. Very, very important.
only ever good news out of Israel.
Only ever good. Well, this is quite worrying news. Quite a, you know, well, you know what Israel, what news from Israel is like. Basically, a team in Israel has taught a goldfish to drive.
It's got that bad, is it?
It's got that bad.
Right.
Okay. A team.
A team.
The goldfish trainer team.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're gonna have a few different people. I mean, you got the people who make the robot,
What
or
are
make
they?
the car thing.
Are they adding like a car segment? They have like some sort of triathlon, and they have a fish on the team.
That's actually quite an interesting idea. Motorsport triathlon: start in a boat, get onto a motorbike, and then get into a car. That's a brilliant idea. But anyway,
Sure, that's a thing that exists.
I wish it was.
There's bound to be something like that.
But anyway, getting ahead of ourselves here. So yeah, basically they've taught a goldfish to drive. It's the thing that they've got that it can drive is quite a funny little thing. It's like a tank, so a fish tank on a platform, and the platform's got wheels that are kind of pointing in 4 different ways. So they're like omni wheels. If you don't know what an omni wheel is, it's like a wheel with little rollers on it. So it
Yeah.
can drive sideways. And the way it works is the fish just swims to the edge, and then it moves in that direction.
But then you're not really teaching it.
They kind of are. They say that it took a little while for it to become accustomed,
Mm.
but now it will actually use the vehicle to go towards food.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, how do you define that it's actually moving towards where it wants,
Yeah.
other than just swimming around randomly? But if it's going towards food, then yes.
Yeah. This is what they say. Surprisingly, it didn't take the fish long to learn how to drive the vehicle. They're confused at first. They don't know what's going on, but they're very quick to realize that there's a correlation between their movement and the movement of the machine they're on. 6 goldfish, each receiving around 10 driving lessons, took part in the study. Each time one of them reached a target set by the researchers, it was rewarded with food. And they say some goldfish are better than others at driving.
Hmm.
To be honest, this is one of those headlines which is more funny in the headline than it is actually in the story, because it's actually quite a sensible science piece.
Yeah.
The only problem with training a goldfish to do this, so they're not going to forget about it 5 seconds later.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't take them long to learn, so just stick them in again later and they'll figure it out again.
That's kind of similar to one I heard about 3 weeks ago. A news article is like there's a guy trying to teach a rat how to play Doom.
Right?
Like he has this rat sitting on like a ball, but it rotates in whatever direction, and the rat is like suspended with like a wee harness, so it doesn't fall off. But the rat kind of is looking at the screen, which is giant, takes up all of his field of view, and it just sort of knows if it walks forward, it goes towards the corridor. And then, if it gets to the end, it's rewarded with food,
Interesting. So basically just like playing a maze but on a screen.
pretty much.
That's pretty cool.
So you can teach anything, if there's food involved. Seems to be the correlation.
I wish my video games ended with food.
Yeah, exactly.
It'd be so much better at them if I was rewarded with like a pulp scratching at the end of Mortal Kombat.
Oh, and like Sneak King on the Xbox, you sneaked in your burgers, and then the Burger King comes deliver you a burger.
That'd be amazing.
You complete the game.
Obesity is already a problem.
Yes, I know.
But yeah, so some guy, so the scientist says we think of humans as special and think of fish as primitive, but that's not correct. There are
Oh, yes, because the fish designed the fucking system themselves.
there are other very important and very smart creatures, he says.
See, when you say team, like, who's it from? Who are they?
Well, the scientist I was quoting there is called Sergey. Oh, sorry, Ronan Sergev.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
Is it a university team or a company or?
They're a bunch of mermaids.
They want us.
Want
They
to teach
wanna-
our fish underlings how to drive.
They
They
are,
want to chauffeur us around.
the team.
Yeah.
The team is from Ben Gurion University in Israel. Yeah, so there you go. Fish can drive. We should all be scared. Moving on.
I'm just
Nice.
wondering how close the food would need to be in the would it be right beside the tank? They see the food on the other side of the tank and they swim towards it and they keep hitting off the glass to try and get it.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how it works. Maybe they go to a special coloured area.
You
or
know,
something? I'm not sure.
I don't picture they will pay much attention to traffic lights.
Just waiting for them to put like a goldfish bowl on this robot, and the goldfish is able to control the robot. Remember that from the cartoon?
What
Oh,
cartoon was that? Well, I know there's American Dad. I mean, he gets out and
Oh yeah,
fish
Klaus.
and that.
Klaus
He,
is
he
his
gets
name.
out and does all kinds of fun things. But that is a silly show.
Yeah.
This is serious science we're talking about here. So, Mr. Black, what's your second story?
This one's not really silly. It's just that was interesting. So a few days ago, Microsoft bought Activision, the big game publisher, and they
Right.
bought them for about $70 billion. $70 billion.
That's an awful lot of money.
Yeah, like these are the guys that own Call of Duty.
World of Warcraft as well, right?
Yeah, so Blizzard that are going through a bit of turmoil at the minute. You know,
I think it's because they kind of had World of Warcraft and nothing else they make makes as much money.
no, it's more the fact that they were diddling their staff in the Cosby Suite.
Ah, right.
Yeah. So there's that whole thing now. But yeah, I think their shares slumped, and so Microsoft kind of swooped in and were like, "Well, that's ours." So 70 billion, and they pretty much now own World of Warcraft, all the Blizzard stuff, Diablo. What else do they own?
StarCraft,
Yeah,
Overwatch.
Overwatch. Yes, Overwatch. So like a lot of shit basically that they own. Tony Hawk games too, which there's not
oh
pretty
yeah,
good,
Tony Hawk.
there's not pretty good Tony Hawk games forever, but
I'm sure there's quite a back catalogue of things I just can't think of at the minute. They probably own now as well.
yeah, Spyro, they own them. But yeah, I just thought the whole thing was pretty cool. So
Just let you know, I did a little quick Google for Activision titles, and literally the top 10 Activision titles are all Call of Duty. So really, that's what it's all about.
yeah, like it was only last year Microsoft actually bought Bethesda for 7.5 billion. So I mean their pockets are proper deep. I don't know how much more they can buy up without people sort of coming out and saying, "Well, this is what do you call that?"
Yeah, if
Like-
they doubled the money, they could have bought Sony out.
Yeah. I think I see Microsoft tried to buy Nintendo at one stage, but Nintendo would just put the foot down. We're like, "Nah, you're not buying this."
No.
Good on them. Stay independent.
If they end up buying EA, though, they've basically,
That's a monopoly, isn't it?
yeah.
But Nintendo are being dicks at the minute too. They're not in a very positive light at the minute.
To be honest, I don't think it's that bad news though, in terms of video games.
Oh no, it's good news. I think.
Microsoft I don't think they've got a bad reputation when it comes to their own games. If you've got a Microsoft badge on it, it's generally quite good quality game.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that for every Microsoft product, but for Microsoft games, they're pretty good.
they finally released a decent Halo multiplayer.
Yeah.
Still needs work, but you know.
Bobby Kodak's on his way out.
Well, apparently he's going to stay for now, but I think there's more talk that he's actually going to step down whenever the whole transition finishes. So he's going to just head for the nearest bunker and not come out. But Microsoft have been doing really well with their Game Pass feature as well. So literally on, just like a Netflix model, you just you subscribe to Game Pass and you can download whatever games are in the Game Pass library, or you can stream them on the cloud. But that means all the Call of Duty games and all the Activision titles, I imagine, are going to go on the Game Pass now, which is already really good. There's about 25 million people subscribed to it now.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of wonga.
It's
So
an awful lot of money.
they're going to end up buying somebody else. They'll buy somebody else next year.
Scary.
Eh,
You say next year, we don't know what's going on in the background.
yeah.
Be tomorrow.
Like EA are just sitting there. Wonder if Sony will try to buy EA or something. But then EA's far too big. They own all
EA's
the sports games, don't they?
They're
So
bigger than Activision. They're a good bit bigger. Like you say, the sports games are worth so much to them.
as a result of that purchase, though, as well, Sony's shares have actually slumped naturally.
That's an interesting point, because what does this mean for Call of Duty on PlayStation?
It could go either way. Like they could either sort of make Call of Duty exclusive, but I don't think it'd be a very good idea if they did that
Or make it exclusive, just take it off PlayStation.
money wise.
I do remember Phil Spencer said he would love to see Game Pass on PlayStation, which would be just dabbing your nuts in the wind. Wouldn't it?
Yeah, Phil Spencer's very he's very idealistic though. He's a very huge proponent of like cross platform, if you know what I mean. Like, Xbox can play online with PlayStation and PC, but Sony are quite resistant with the whole cross platform thing, usually. But Sony's group shares closed 12.8% lower in Tokyo on Wednesday. So yeah, see what happens, but that was interesting anyway.
Business news.
Business news, money news, financial news.
My next article is Japanese firefighter has to have his pay slashed after officials discover his YouTube gaming channel.
Are you playing Firefighter Simulator every night?
Is there something wrong with his gaming channel?
From the going by the headline, it sounds like he was earning too much money. That's not good. Firefighter in Japan has had his budding career as a gamer cut short after city officials discovered his YouTube channel. The 33-year-old who works as a sergeant in the Wakayama, sorry I'm mispronouncing that,
Good try.
fire department in Western Japan started uploading Let's Play videos of multiplayer strategy games to the streaming site on December 2020. By October 2021, he had amassed around 15,000 subscribers and made over €1 million, 8,700 euros in advertising revenue, according to Japanese newspaper, the Mishi. I'm not a Japanese newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
A reputable Japanese newspaper.
I'm not going to say that because I have no idea.
Their version of the Sun or something.
But in the same month, city officials in Wakayama received an anonymous tip-off about the firefighters' channel, prompting an investigation. I don't understand this. Why would they have an issue with this?
I don't know.
As the man did not appear in any of the videos, investigators were forced to comb through the 314 videos on his channel in order to identify him by voice. After admitting to his gaming activities, firefighters' January paycheck was docked 10%. We do not necessarily think it's a bad thing that he was a YouTuber, city official Haktika Amuno told AFP, but it's the fact that he was profiting from ads, some of which could be inappropriate in nature.
But that's not his fault.
But what does that have to do with the firefighting?
Was his YouTube channel or a Twitch channel he had?
YouTube.
So it's on YouTube. Like that's why their whole like.
I don't know. It seems like.
It seems like
80s, 70s Christian zealotry in America, doesn't it?
It seems like they need a fucking just excuse to dock his pay. Like they're maybe struggling. Hasn't been fired for a while. Let's dock his pay.
And making money from YouTube, the man had betrayed the trust of residents of Wakama, Almalono. The issue, city officials argued, was that the advertising revenue from the YouTube controverted Japan's Local Public Service Act, which bars public employees from moonlighting in other paid roles, including as gaming content makers. Well, if that's what they're citing, then why would they go on to say, but he was profiting, that some ads might be inappropriate? Like, why would you say that if it was just you're not supposed to be moonlighting?
I wouldn't even call it moonlighting because it's his hobby.
Yeah, you're literally just recording yourself playing a game and then videoing it and putting it up.
To me, that's like somebody who's a policeman during the day, but then he goes busking during the night to earn some extra quid. Like, it's not really a job; it's just something you do because you want to do.
If he goes and plays a set on a bar or something for fun.
Yeah.
As
a dock your pay, sir.
According to the Manchikini, the man had not realised that his hobby could break the rules. My recognition of what was to be considered a second job was naive, he reportedly said. And that's it.
That sounds a bit
extreme.
unfair, doesn't it?
What a bunch of bastards.
The bit about the moonlighting doesn't make sense but it's the fact that he was profiting from ads, some of which could be inappropriate in nature. So that's the bit where they add inappropriate in nature seems like
It's very vague, isn't it?
Yeah, no, but it seems more like moralization of what you're making money off, if you know what I
Why
mean.
would you think they would be so against someone in a public job like a firefighter or a teacher or a policeman, I guess? Why would they be so against that person making extra money?
Japan, it's not just law, but like there's a lot of cultural stuff over there that we're not really. It's just there's a lot of stuff culturally that is different over there than is in the West.
Well, you can't just say because it's different. I mean, there must be a reason for it.
Because it's different.
Well, it sounds like they have a problem with what could have been on the ads, but they're just using the excuse of the moonlighting in public service as the excuse to penalise them.
Just sounds a trifle unfair.
But it brings me back to it just seems like zealotous moralization. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because they have a problem with the ads. How can we do something about this? Well, he's making money off these, so let's dock his pay because he fits this framework of.
It makes me feel like there's something to this that is not being mentioned.
Yeah, I think the moonlighting thing is just an excuse to get at him for some reason.
He's suggesting somebody might have had it in for him.
Maybe.
Could
but
be,
then
yeah.
it's again, I'll bring you back to the comments. So it's the ads, some of which are inappropriate nature. Like if it was just over the moonlighting, then why even mention the ads and their nature?
But again, it's not like content creators really get to choose the ads unless they're sponsored.
He doesn't really have any influence over what's advertised unless he's like directly sponsored.
Yeah, I suppose the only thing you could do then, if it's purely just a hobby and he does it for fun, then you just take off the ads and just not accept monetization. But
Mm.
then would they still have it in for him? Like, oh, you have a YouTube channel, and you upload videos, and you have a big following.
Well, I don't think you'd be breaking the moonlighting rules for getting paid.
Like, how dare you do something else outside of your job? You're moonlighting, but I just like cooking food in my spare time. Now you're moonlighting, sir. We're gonna dock your pay.
Right. Well,
Moving
suppose-
on.
on that sad note,
Fuck.
well,
What
do we have
depressed
any other little headlines that we'd like to squeeze in? I mentioned my rock story earlier, but that pretty much sums the whole thing up.
Just the year are the drafting exemptions for private jets, cargo from jet fuel tax.
Must
So
be,
they're
must be
reducing.
so they can populate all those climate conferences.
Yes,
That's what it is. It's so they can fight climate change. They're getting all the rich celebrities to the climate conferences in their private jets
they
without
do.
paying tax.
They do so sway public opinion.
You think it'd tax them more because of the whole green, because the world's melting apparently, or the world's flooding, or either one. I don't know what's it doing.
Mr. Black, these conferences are very, very important.
Listen,
Yeah.
unless Leonardo DiCaprio is telling me to do something, I'm not going to do it.
All right, fair enough. And I'm sure he flies in a private jet, so it's understandable.
So
Well,
it
Nicolas
does.
Cage was trying to reach out through Facebook to help people, apparently.
All he needs, he's having I see. He
He's
says
having, he's having tax problems.
tax
Yeah.
problems.
So this is the kind of thing that would help him.
This would help him, actually, yes.
For taxing my jet.
Put the tax back in my wallet.
There's-
Put the tax back in the can.
I mean, like we could probably, if we took this podcast half seriously, we could probably go on to have a massive rant about the EU and how this is seems like a very corrupt thing to do to lift taxes on private jets. But
I'd say be better off just using our influence to get Nicolas Cage on the podcast.
but I guess we'll just have to get back to researching next week's story about someone shoving a fish up their ass.
I do remember some of their leaders do like to fly, what was it, less than 30 miles or something on a jet.
Oh yes, who was that did that?
Ursula von der Leyen.
Von der Leyen, yes.
And I think that was coming up to COP26 or around COP26.
Yeah.
She flew less than 30 miles on a private jet. Oh,
So silly.
Well, she had to be there yesterday, so
surely it takes you longer to actually
Yeah.
take off in the thing than it would be just to drive there.
I've been on a plane. I mean, they're quick when they're in the air, but everything else around the airport is really slow.
Yeah.
security and
Yeah,
Well, it's a private jet, so you just literally go to
you just
You-
hop into a car.
you would just drive through a barrier onto the plane, but then the plane still has to wait, warm up, get all its checks done, get on queue to take off.
Yeah,
Surely that would take longer.
yeah. Whereas if you just drive 30 miles, hop into a car, off you go. What's she worried about? She
And
worried
not-
about being spotted, being a celebrity.
and not to
I
mention
mean, to
the
be on the road
fuel.
with the plebs.
Like, not to mention the fuel, driving to the airport and then driving from the airport to the venue you need to get to. You may as well just hop in a car then.
Silly.
The amount of
There's
fuel
common
burned-
sense.
The amount of fuel burned off to take off would have been far more than what was actually used in the air.
Exactly.
Way more. Yeah, because we could. We could rant about this for ages. But
If there was an age of common sense, this isn't it.
No, I do remember a wise man once said, "This is the most retarded time."
and it's only,
Who said that?
Me a few weeks ago.
Sweet.
I think it's only getting more and more retarded as we go. I think the world hasn't been sensible since at least 4000 BC.
That was
I
a
think
while- that was a while ago.
whenever bronze came along, that's where it all started to go downhill.
We're also getting really lazy. There's no way in hell he'd be moving those big blocks anymore. Building
Yeah.
pyramids. Anyway, on that note,
On that note,
Bye-bye.
goodbye.
bye.